is Lesley Jane Seymour, and I'm the founder of this podcast and of CoveyClub.com, which I hope you'll go check out if you're serious about your reinvention. Reinventing with us and as a group is really a wonderful thing to do. And that's why I created Covey Club, is so you wouldn't have to do it alone like I did. It was awful. So I am so psyched for you today. You are going to meet somebody who's a very old friend of mine and who is so inspirational. You're going to be blown away by what she does. And you're also going to take a quiz and figure out where you fall on her scale of confidence. And that's going to give you a starting point. So this is take a pencil, because you're going to actually want to go check out the site where you can find the quiz. So let me tell you about Lisa Sun. Lisa Sun is the founder and CEO of Gravitas, a company on a mission to catalyze confidence through size-inclusive fashion and inspiring content. Lisa is also the national best-selling author of Gravitas. It's a book, The 8 Strengths That Redefine Confidence. And so I'm not going to tell you anymore, because she's going to tell you all about it. And here is my good friend, Lisa Sun. Lisa, I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. This is so much fun.
Thank you for having me, Lesley. I think we've known each other for over a decade, so this is a full circle moment.
It's a long time. And you were such an inspiration when we met at Moore, and I want everybody to learn about you. So let's start with, where did you grow up, and what did you start out doing? And then we'll talk about what you currently do and all the different segues, because you're a multiple reinventor, because people will be very inspired by that.
Well, the 3 things I usually share about myself, the first is I grew up in the company of immigrant entrepreneurs. My parents are from Kaohsiung, Taiwan. They came to the US college educated in 1972. My mom worked on a hamburger truck. My dad worked on a loading dock in Southern California. And they saved up enough money to own an all-you-can-eat Mongolian barbecue, $4.95 at lunch, $12.95 at dinner. And in 1987, I was a 8-year-old cashier. No one dines and dashes when there's an 8-year-old collecting the money. And I will tell you that I did not have the grip strength to run the old carbon copy credit card machine. I had to lean up on the desk and push down hard. If one number was missing, my parents didn't get paid.
Oh, right.
And so I always tell people I started my life in the company of immigrants, and immigrants are entrepreneurs and visionaries. They believe in something before they can see it. They will ideas into existence. And I'm very lucky to have had that formative childhood experience. The second part of my story is I spent 11 years at McKinsey & Company, the global management consulting firm, where I learned client service, mentorship, apprenticeship. But I can tell you now, with so much distance from that experience, that it took me twice as long to get to partnership as my male colleagues, because I joined McKinsey in September of 2000, and less than 13% of the partnership globally were women at that time. So
Wow.
Climbing that ladder for 11 years was actually a pretty big hill to climb. And then the last part of my story is I took a year off. I had a paid sabbatical, went around the world by myself with miles and points and books. And my parents are retired. They live in Taiwan now. And my mom in 2012 convinced me to take my life savings and bet on myself and start my own company, Gravitas, which was what I've done for the last more than a decade of my life.
And so why did you walk away? Because this is, a problem for a lot of, we have lawyers, we have doctors who listen to this, and they're frustrated. They've gotten to the top of their business. They want to do something else. They have the golden handcuffs, which you had. How did you figure out how to walk away from it, and why did you? And what were the ups and downs of that?
Well, I think the exciting part of this, if you think about my background, is it's almost like a Venn diagram of I grew up with entrepreneurs, so I understood the risk reward profile of that. And then combined with corporate experience, what really is important is I could trust myself after a decade of time, talent, and treasure. And I think what ends up happening is when you're in a system and you just continue to climb it, those external markers of success are so clear, right? So you make partner, you just keep going and you're on a treadmill and you're just chasing the next marker of success.
Mm-hmm.
I was very lucky in that I had these role models in my life who have taken many risks. I think leaving your home country, that's a
Huge,
big,
enormous,
big transition.
enormous.
Starting your own business, putting two kids through top tier universities, right? And I was lucky in that I could draw upon my family's experience. But more importantly, one of my mentors at the firm sat me down and she asked me three questions. The first question is, what are you good at? The second is, what do you love to do? And the third is, what are you passionate about? And they sound like similar questions, but as I answered them, the answers were very different. So, what am I good at? I'm good at problem solving. I'm good at analytics. I'm good at, the things that a consultant does, but I don't love it. I don't love it. And I don't know if the impact I'm having lines up with what I love and what I'm passionate about. What do I love? I love helping people be successful. I love actually seeing the joy that comes from direct impact. And then what am I passionate about? I've spent the last almost 25 years of my life being passionate about this idea of confidence in every single form. What does it really mean? How's it expressed, whether it's through fashion or content? And when I lined it up with what the firm valued, I was like, you know what? The things that I love and the things I'm passionate about, I don't know if this is the right place for me to live up to it. And then I ended up writing this book, this best-selling book, which we have this quiz where you take this quiz to understand your underlying strengths and superpowers. And I was like, wow, I wish I'd had this quiz in my 30s, because what I'm the best at, what my superpowers are, don't line up with the place that I'm working in terms of what they value or the strengths that they want me to display. And I realized there was a mismatch. So I think that was step one, realizing that what I wanted to do with my life and the context in which I was living didn't line up. And then I think the second part, which is the hardest, is knowing yourself and knowing what unique talents you have in the world and finding a way to bring that to life. And I think that's the harder part, actually. Deciding to leave, while painful and was a scary thing to do, leaving wasn't the problem. It was like, how am I now going to take all my talents and what I know how to do in my network and turn that into something that will make a difference in the world? I think that's the harder part to do, is that second part.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
knowing that the place that you are in your life doesn't light you up inside, doesn't line up with your passions and your talents, I think that is not easy, but it's a more straightforward decision.
That's interesting. And did you have to put away a certain amount of money to give yourself a year path or anything like that? Or how did you figure that out?
What I tell anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, right? All of us have ideas.
Right.
Entrepreneurs have the will
Correct.
to execute it. You know that because you've done your own
Oh,
thing as
yes. Oh,
well.
yes. Oh, yes.
And what I love is the average age of successful entrepreneur, according to Big Think data, is 45.
Yeah.
We
Older, way
celebrate.
older. Everybody thinks it's
Yeah.
25-year-olds. Yeah.
No,
It's
but
not.
when you're in your 40s, you have time, talent, and treasure. So when I read Shoe Dog or I read Titans of Enterprise, you realize, like, George Eastman at Kodak, he was an accountant by day. He worked on Kodak at night for 9 years so he could save up money. Phil Knight, I think for 6 years, was an accountant and doing Nike on the weekends. He would drive his van out and sell shoes out of the back of his van. So I always tell people, when you're ready to take that leap, make sure you're financially in a position where you can do it, or you're going to fundraise and you have a great network that you can fundraise from. I think that level of security was helpful. I was doing consulting projects on my own for the first year when we launched the company
Oh,
before
you
we
did.
could really raise
You were
money.
dual tracking.
Yeah. And I think
Okay.
that it's a myth. I think unless and I think that's true for women and women of color and people of color, right? It might be different if you have different privileges and different access to capital. I just think we all know that, women and women of color have a harder hill to climb when it comes to raising money. For me, I raised friends and family. I put in my own money. I took out loans, right? And that gave us a level of, I would say, safety. I know it's not safe. Being an entrepreneur is never safe, but it meant that we could try lots of things without feeling like we had to report in, or we'd taken $10 million and had to figure out how we were going to deploy that quickly and grow rapidly. I think having that financial security at the beginning was helpful. I don't think any entrepreneur is ever financially secure, by the way. And that's why I love books like Shoe Dog, right? Phil Knight talks about when all the payroll checks bounced and he had to go borrow $8,000 from his box manufacturer to give everyone $50. I think every entrepreneur who tells you they're crushing it is definitely deceiving you. There's no entrepreneur that isn't hurting all the time.
Yeah, and that's what's really frustrating is you think you're the only one and you're not. And everybody's telling it. It's the Instagram of entrepreneurship. It's, it looks beautiful, but it's really not what you're seeing.
Well, I know what I say to people is like, oh, are you going to exit? What's the plan? And I said, look, I love what I do. I make a difference every day. This is my life's work. And I always describe it as there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Because if there was a light at the end of the tunnel, I would have stayed in corporate America and made 5 times what I'm making now. There's little skylights along the way, like these little blue patches of sky that show up in the tunnel that say, hey, that was a good moment. My team, let's celebrate that. And it's, someone emailing you saying how you've made their life better. I said, that's why we're doing it. If I were doing it because I think there's a massive exit coming or something like that, I shouldn't be doing it. I'm doing it I feel like it's like The Bachelor. Are you here for the right reasons? I'm doing it for me to help women catalyze confidence in their lives. And that's really the mission that drives me every day.
So talk about what gravitas is, because it's multifaceted. It's not one thing. It's not just a book.
Yeah. So our mission is we catalyze confidence. The starting point, the origin story was my first boss at McKinsey when I was 22 years old told me I didn't have any gravitas.
Gravitas.
And
They use that word. That's
oh,
so
yes. Yeah.
interesting.
I didn't have any confidence. And she told me to buy a new dress, look in the mirror, and love myself, which is pretty offensive feedback to a 22-year-old who at the time, size 18, 20, making $43,000 a year. And when I asked her why, she said, it's not about the clothes, actually. It's that every morning you wake up, you have to look in the mirror and you have to believe in yourself. You have to like yourself. I can teach you how to be good at this job. I can't teach you how to believe in yourself. And then she said, Dumbo never needed that feather to fly. It just reminded it that he could. And so I really started the company with this mission that we would create reminders in people's lives to believe in themselves. And we can get into the psychology of that because that's really why I wrote the book. And we launched in September of 2013 as a fashion company. So we make
Right, because that's
clothes.
how we met.
That's
So
how we met. Thank
explain
you. Thank
how
you for the
that.
ink. Thank you for the
Yeah,
ink, by the
yeah,
way.
no, I mean, that was
Um,
really, really fabulous what you were doing, and you were starting with one item and you were
yeah.
getting out there. And why was it fashion that you started with? That's an odd thing to
Yes.
say that that's about confidence, right?
So it was actually, yes, we launched as the most valuable player in your closet, right? So everyone has one thing that is their lucky dress or the thing that they wear the most because it just makes them feel so good. And the original product, which we still carry, we patented building shapewear into it, size 0 to 28W. We were inclusive before it was cool to be inclusive. That was 2013, Lesley.
That's amazing.
That was a
Yeah.
big deal. We were the
Yeah.
only brand at Lord & Taylor to be full size run in the same section. You didn't have to go up to the 6th floor to shop plus. And so, it was a really breakthrough idea at the time. And now we've extended into lots of other categories and products and content. But the real reason it wasn't actually about that dress. What the whole philosophy, and this really gets into the philosophy of the company, is we're born fully self-confident. Okay. Ask any 5-year-old what they're the best at in the world. They'll tell you right away, I'm best at soccer. I'm the best at hugs. I'm the best at everything. Because when you're 5, you have not learned how to compare, despair. You haven't experienced setback, disappointment, self-awareness, self-doubt. And what we identified is between the ages of 8 and 12, and this is chapter 2 of my book, there are 6 forces that show up in your life that form the basis of an inner critic that never goes away for good. And these 6 forces are incredibly real. And in fact, boys and girls go through it at the same time. It's just the boys control the system. So they actually built the system so that these 6 forces go away. And I can dive into the 6 forces, but it's an inner critic. And so after the age of 12, you actually see your setbacks and disappointments and flaws before you see your strengths or your potential.
And you mean
And
women do more
women,
than
yeah,
men, or just women?
no, men and women experience it the same, but I'm saying that men created systems so that these 6 forces get better for them over time. They
I
just get
see, I
worse.
see, I
And
see.
I can
Okay.
give you those 6 forces. I don't
Yeah,
want your
yeah.
listeners
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
to
I
be
would.
mystified by them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we'll come back to the dress in a moment. But the
Okay.
6 forces are deficit mindset, where you see your weaknesses over your potential. The best way of thinking about it, when you look in the mirror, Do you look for the new wrinkle or your beautiful eyes? The second is shrinking effect, where you shortchange yourself or underestimate your own abilities. This is why women say sorry all the time when they've done
Oh,
nothing wrong, because
yes.
they think they're
Right.
less than
Right.
or they're at
Right.
fault. It's why
Right.
women will only apply for a job if they're 100% perfect. They shortchange
Right.
themselves.
Right.
The third force is called satisfaction conundrum, where you tie your happiness to an external marker of success. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be
Oh,
happy when I get that
yes.
job.
Very common. Yep.
And the problem is, if you get it, you just chase the next marker. I lost 10 pounds. I probably could lose another 5. If you
Uh-huh.
don't, you beat yourself up. You don't think that you're valuable outside of that marker. The fourth is called superhero facade. I got this. Everything in my life is perfect, right? The most confident people in the world will actually tell you where they need help. Because if you're a superhero, no one can have fingerprints on your journey or your success. The fifth is called setback spiral. This is where a negative moment affects how you feel about your entire life. So I got this criticism. That must mean I'm a terrible sister, mother, best friend. Everything in my life is off because of this one thing, and I spiral. And the last force is systemic bias. This is where there are asymmetrical structures of power, where the rules were not created by you or for you. So I shared with you one of those. It took me twice as long to get to partnership. And I thought it
Mm.
was my fault, but maybe the
Sure.
scorecard wasn't designed to see me.
Right.
But these 6 forces, most of us are feeling any one of them at any point in the day. And this is why when you feel fear, insecurity, we created these 6 forces so you could label it. You could say, okay, that's what's making me feel this way. And the third part of this journey for us is you got to make a choice to break out of it,
Right.
change your mindset in
Right.
order to truly be brave enough to do the things you want. But until you see these 6 forces and you choose to break out of them and change the way you see yourself, you're always going to be performatively confident. You're not actually going to be confident from a place of true, authentic self-assurance.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you what that means. Every woman comes into a dressing room with all 6 forces. Okay. Her inner critic shows up before she does. And I dress hundreds of women a year still. You can still book a 30-minute appointment with me. And what's fascinating is she comes in with all 6 forces. Let me give you an example. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, Lisa. That dress on the mannequin looks good on there, but not going to look good on me. I am just had a baby and I feel really bad at myself, or I'm going through menopause and I've gained all this weight from the hormone. You know, she comes in with all these 6 forces. Talk about systemic bias. We don't allow mirrors inside our dressing room because as soon as you get undressed, you don't feel like trying on clothes. As soon as you see yourself semi-naked, you're like, I can't do this, Lisa. And what I do is I said, okay, before we start a fitting, I'm going to ask you 3 questions because you have to change your mindset. I can't do this work with you until you see yourself differently. And I ask her, 1, what are you most proud of in the last 12 months of your life? 2, if your best friend was standing here, what would they tell me about you? 3, what are you the best at in the world? A question a 5-year-old can answer, by the way, and we're going to get into like what you're best at in the world. And no woman wants to do this. She's like, Lisa, I got to Zoom in an hour. I got to pick up my kids. You told me this is 30 minutes and you're going to waste 10 minutes. And I said, you've been taking on every single day of your life with these 6 forces. And until we make a choice to break out of them, until we change the way you see yourself, I won't do this fitting. And so they reluctantly start answering like, oh, they start, okay, last 12 months, I got promoted. My kid graduated from high school. And we start laughing, we start smiling. I'm a dress whisperer. I get it right on the first time. I will get her out in 30 minutes. I'm also a velvet knife. You don't feel it happening. I'm dressing her
Oh,
while
as she's
she's telling me the
talking?
stories. And there's no
Oh,
mirrors, so she
no
can't
mirrors.
criticize herself, right?
Right.
We have mirrors on the outside. And so I'll put her in the perfect dress. She'll come out of the dressing room. We have a mirror on the outside. And she goes, oh, Lisa, this is a skinny mirror. I'm like, it's from Bed Bath and Beyond. Rest in peace, Bed Bath and Beyond. It's 1995. I can't trick you into liking yourself. She goes, what did you do? This is like the perfect dress. I've gone to every department store. Like you just nailed it on the first turn. I said, well, I don't think the dress is magical, but you changed the way you saw yourself. We could do the work. And then we could do so when you ask me why did we start in fashion, it is the most insecure place a woman
Yeah.
can feel the worst about herself. How many times have you gone and said, I couldn't find one thing in this
Right.
entire store?
Right.
And so I
Right.
said, we have to change that psychology for her to believe everything else we're going to teach her, right? So it formed the basis of the entire philosophy in my book, which is self-confidence is a choice and a mindset before it becomes a behavior. And so if you think about it, it was never about the dress. The dress is just a physical embodiment of an entirely different way of seeing yourself. So that's, and people go, "Oh, you're a fashion company and you wrote this book." I'm like, I never started a fashion company. I started a company whose mission is we catalyze confidence. Fashion was the most physical, easy place to expose women's fears and insecurities and doubts. And if we
The
can solve
doorway.
it for them, if we can solve it for them in a dress, they will trust us when we talk about what it means to be in the boardroom. You can take the dressing room analogy and apply it to the boardroom, apply it to the family dining table. I'll tell you about a great story from Thanksgiving dinner that happened last year. But it really is, when I tell people this, they're like, that makes so much sense. I hate dressing rooms. You just
Oh,
explained so much of my self-loathing in other parts of my life too.
oh, so interesting. Awesome. Well, and that's why when I was in fashion, I mean, I can't tell you how many stories I wrote, even as copywriter at Vogue when I was in my 20s, writing about how the outside affects the inside. I mean, they'd done the studies and how you feel when you see yourself, how that impacts your whole sentiment about how you feel on the inside.
And I will tell you, and because you've been in fashion, we never intended to own 100% of the closet. Everybody has multiple brands in their closet. I
Right.
said, we just need to own the 10% that matters. I'm okay if you only own one or two things from us. And we got all this love for a couple years about a cape blazer that we did that
I
everybody
was gonna say,
wore.
I remember the
Everybody
cape
wore that.
blazer, and now it's become dresses. You see, everybody's just
Yeah, no,
come
you're going to
back.
see some
It's like it's
and
everywhere. It's
and
on
we
the,
were we were we were
in
like right on
Hollywood.
time on that trend, right on
Yeah,
time on that trend, right?
totally.
Everyone from like Mindy Grossman when she was CEO of HSN to
Yeah,
the 22-year-old whose mom bought it for her to get her something going for her wardrobe. I always say, I just want to be that piece that when you put it on, you get the most number of compliments. You feel you're
right.
most powerful. And some people own 8 pieces from us. But I said, if we can get one piece in there that is her signature piece, I've won. I don't need to own 100% of the closet. What we want to own on top of that is the psychology of every single other day that she's not wearing us. Do we have something valuable to add? And that's why 6 years ago, we started the process of writing a book.
So, what is the piece now? What are the pieces that you can own for women in their closets? Just give us a quick run through. So,
Yep. So the signature, which I'm not wearing today, I'm wearing our Year of the Dragon collection. The one we're best known for is our suffragist newsprint collection. And that's the
oh, you sent
marble
me
blouse, a
a
scarf. Yeah.
scarf. Yeah, 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 which I
And
thought was fabulous.
and so we took newspaper articles from the day women got the right to vote and then the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And we created almost, someone said it was like Carrie Bradshaw as a CEO, right? If you remember her newspaper print dress from Sex and the City. And we created this print. It's printed in New York City, made in New York City. And we turned it into a whole collection. It's a dress, 2 blouses, scarves. And people love this. This really took off because no one was buying new clothes during the pandemic, but you bought 1 blouse for all your Zooms. And on a
Right,
Zoom,
right,
people would
right.
say, what are you wearing? That is so
Right,
cool. And you're like,
right,
it's the
right.
day women got the right to vote. It's all the newspaper articles.
Uh-huh. Oh,
And we
very
did an
smart.
international version where we honored different countries like the UK, Switzerland, Japan. We
Oh,
have this great piece where it's like
oh,
women in kimonos voting for the first time. And so we turned it into a thing. And people always say that's a signature item. And I also feel good because 100% of the cost to produce stays in New York City. It feeds
yes.
workers that can then pay their rent and pay for groceries. So, we still sell the shapewear product, but, for 4 years, nobody was wearing clothes to work and we had to make hospital gowns and face masks. And I said, let's make something that is from the heart that isn't a hospital gown or a face mask, which we really did do 2020 to
Wow,
2021. That's what we
really,
pivoted to.
really. Wow.
And, what was really quite helpful is it got this groundswell of support. We launched it on Women's Equality Day in August. So every Women's Equality Day, we launch a product honoring the day women got the right to vote. But that's a signature product. The one that I'm wearing is our Year of the Dragon. So every Lunar New Year, we do a Made in New York signature set of pieces that honor the lunar new year cycles. So we've done, you're the tiger, you're the rabbit, you're the dragon. And it's kind of a fun way to bring our heritage out as a brand. So I would say those are really great. And then we saw a lot of leggings and a lot of jersey dresses, right? The
Okay.
reality is that's how we're all living,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah.
50% of our closet
Comfortable.
is a yoga pant with a really cute jersey top. And so we really kind of had to move quickly during the pandemic to adapt to the way people live. But I would say our signature product right now is that's our new cape blazer, right? If you think
Okay.
about
Okay.
almost every woman who owns a cape blazer from us also now owns a newsprint blouse from us.
Awesome. Fantastic. Are you thinking of anything for our potential first woman president?
So we are launching a product named after her in
Ah,
August in collaboration with another company. And we have received handwritten quotes and signatures from women we admire. And we will
ooh,
be reinventing the white pinstripe button down with these signatures and quotes all over it in honor of
ooh,
what's happening. So that'll
cool.
come out August 26th. I don't want to steal our partner's
No, no,
thunder.
no, no, I
But
understand that.
I think what people are looking for, and I think you've got to check the boxes on many different things now. They're looking for purpose and meaning in the product because guess
Mhm.
what? You can buy anything you want on sale, fast fashion, Amazon. I hate to say this, but we just can't compete against an Amazon legging, right? So
Right,
one,
right.
there's got to be storytelling and purpose, sustainability. So all the fabric I'm wearing today is recycled
Oh,
poly or recycled
fabulous.
cotton. We're only using not only, but we're mostly using sustainable products made in New York, which we still make products in China. So a portion of the line is still made in China. But we like the idea of you get it in 2 to 3 weeks, but you know that you've actually helped someone locally be able to solve these weird problems for
Weird
people. Like the
problems. Yeah.
shapewear built in, because I was like, what's our
Right,
next built-in shapewear
right,
innovation? So if you go
right.
on our website and you look at Daisy and Etta, they really work. And we get a lot of social media love for the belt. People are
That's
like, I didn't think it
hilarious.
worked, but then it did. Like, are you
Hilarious.
literally going to show people how your zippers work? So that's the fun part. But if you think about the way I've described our collection, it
Right,
has all of this meaning that ultimately makes us feel better about ourselves, makes us so a lot
right.
of, I think, brands, not just in fashion, will say like, we want to help you feel confident. And I think that's again why I wrote the book. I think being confident has become a corporate slogan. It's become an Instagram post. Be a boss, hustle, go
Oh
do it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think it underplays the enormous work that self-love really requires, like authentic
Right,
confidence, really liking
right,
yourself. And I always tell people when people put on our product, they really like themselves in it, right? And that
yeah.
because the way we think about solving problems, the way we think about how she's going to feel in the dressing room, the way there's like one of our dresses, we have a little hidden hole in it that you can string a belt through it. So you can cinch your waist tighter and make it looks, there's all these things we think about. And I think that's probably because we're real women. I've been every
Right.
size. I've been a 6, a 20, an 18, proudly a 16 right now
Wow,
coming out of the
wow,
pandemic.
wow.
And so I
Interesting.
I have every single body image issue that every woman we have in
Uh-huh.
our community. I've had it too, or I'm currently having it. I gained
Uh,
42 pounds in the pandemic. I'll say that out loud.
Did you?
Guess
Oh
what?
my
I don't
goodness.
beat
You
myself
look
up about it.
amazing. You look fabulous. Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
but I was like, I'll just take the next size up. It's just a number. Like I'm
Right,
gonna look great at
right,
every size.
right, right. No, and you do. So as we're coming to the end, Lisa, what should people know about doing what you did? If they're
Yeah.
in a situation where they're killing it somewhere,
Yeah.
but it's just not speaking to them, like, what are your 2 or 3 top very practical tips that you would give them?
Well, I always tell people, if you'd like, please get our book. But if you're not going to get it, the first thing is we've offered a portion of our book for free online. It's called myconfidencelanguage.com. And you can actually, it was designed by a former McKinsey partner and myself. We looked at 10,000 women in a quantitative study of confidence in America. Take the quiz. Take myconfidencelanguage.com. We identified 8 superpowers. Most of us have 2 or 3. My mom took the quiz. She has all 8. It's not like Pokemon. You don't need all 8. She's like, I take your quiz. I'm all 8. No, not surprised.
Is she a
But
tiger mom? Is that why?
Yes, she was a tiger mom before
Okay.
tiger moms were a thing. When Amy Chua's book came out, she was like, you know what? You see someone write New York Times bestseller about me. I was right. But I would say the first step is take a self-affirming inventory of your talents and strengths. Because wherever you are in life, you're probably harder on yourself than you need to be.
Right.
Or maybe the company you're working at has told you you're not good enough.
Right.
And I say, take the quiz. The quiz is not wrong. Look at your superpowers. Look at the talents. By the way, the quiz is not a personality test. It's a
Okay.
snapshot in time that allows you to take an inventory of your talents and strengths. We cannot give what we do not know we have. And I think
Right.
so many of us are running on a treadmill and not
Yep.
pausing to say, if I were put on a spot in the dressing room with Lisa and she asked me what I'm best at in the world, how would I answer your question? I can tell you now, Lesley, because I know my quiz results. My number one superpower is I'm creating. I can see things before other people do. I can will ideas into existence. My second is I'm performing, which means I am an extrovert. I love to charm people. I love the energy of other people. And my third is I'm leading. I like to be in charge, set vision, activate plans, set in motion long-term vision. By the way, my team has the opposite superpowers of me. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we all complement each other.
Right. Right.
But
Exactly.
if I had looked at those quiz results at McKinsey, I would have said, McKinsey is not a place that values creating, right? We're not here to like white space an idea. We're here to do the 5-year plan and performing. No, because guess what? You're behind the CEO in the boardroom. You're whispering in their ear. You're
Right.
not the
Right.
CEO.
Right.
You know, if I looked at my quiz results, I would have been like, my talents and strengths do not line up with the job I have. So I think the first thing, even if you don't take our quiz, although it's free to take, why wouldn't you
Right.
spend 5 minutes?
Right. Right.
And the Thanksgiving dinner story I will tell you is one woman had her family take the quiz at Thanksgiving dinner. She's like, I don't know. I don't care what you're grateful for. I want to know my family's superpowers. And so I think one, you got to really start from a place of strength and know what you're the best at in the world so you know how to deploy it. I think the second thing is figure out what you're trying to achieve. And so what is that goal? Make it concrete, even if it's 5 to 10 years out. You know, I helped a woman who took our quiz. What's fascinating is women over the age of 50 are the most powerful in our data set. And she was turning 60. And she said, my kids are leaving the house soon. And I've been in the same job for 30 years. And I took your quiz and I have the creating superpower, which by the way, only people in their 20s and people over the age of 50, those spike for them, that superpower spikes for them, you know, because you believe in ideas again. She goes, I think I'm ready to pivot my life.
Wow.
And I said, okay, now write the dream job. Even if you don't feel qualified for it, right? So she took our quiz. And then the second thing is she said, I want to be in sustainability. I want to be in the C-suite. I want to live in Orange County. You know, there were a set of criteria. And I said, okay, now you have, and I don't do vision boards, but I said, at least you can articulate some of the criteria, even if whatever you do next doesn't match up with it. I said, and what's your financial runway? Because I do think you have to evaluate how much of
You
a
have to
risk.
be realistic. Right.
She said, I've probably got a year and then probably even more when my kids are out of private school, right? They were in private high school. I said, okay. And so when you're ready and you feel financially ready, then you go out and search. But I think you have to feel financially secure that you could walk away from whatever career you're in. And she wrote me, and this is, I think, the third step is then you go and you bet on yourself. You go and you start the search with that career. You ask people in your network. You start to look at things that are opportunities. You talk to headhunters, or if you're going to do it on your own. Actually, chapter 6 of my book, we talk about starting your own business. I think you then figure out, wow, I can put the pieces together and at least solve for some of the criteria. And I have time, talent, and treasure, right? If you have at least 2 of the 3, you're ready to go. And this woman that I helped, she's now 62. She's in my book. She got the dream job. And she texted me and she said, I walked into the first interview not having the qualifications that they wanted, but I looked at my quiz results and I was able to advocate for myself from a place of strength and not apologize for the things that I didn't have that they were looking for. And she has been in that role for 2 years now in the C-suite. She said, the first 6 months were like from a fire hydrant. She's like, I just was absorbing it all. She said,
Right.
now I'm in a place where my kids are in college. I'm really living my dream life right now.
Oh, that's so great.
And so 1, make sure you know your talents and catalog them. 2, at least have a set of criteria for what you want next. And 3, when you're ready, whether it's financially or from a time standpoint, go and start the hunt that meets up with both of those first 2.
Awesome. Lisa, where can people find you and find the book?
So we are on all social media channels at Gravitas New York. New York is spelled out. My social media is Lisa L. Sun. I'm going to tell people to go to myconfidencelanguage.com. Just take the quiz. Like you'll learn as much as you can about us, but just take the quiz. It will add value to your life. And then the book is available wherever books are sold.
Awesome. Lisa, I'm so glad we are connected again, and you're such an inspiration. Everybody's going to love this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Lesley.
So thank you for joining us. I hope this was fun. I hope it was helpful. I hope you're going to take that quiz. I'm going to go take it. I haven't taken it yet. And I hope that this will be meaningful for you and will show you what you can do and how you can do it, and that you can grab your confidence, and that, there are these stories we tell ourselves, and most of them are not true. So we can boot those stories out of our existence and we can start over. And I hope that if you like the podcast, you will follow us and follow the podcast. Give us a review, give us some stars. That helps other people who need us find us, because it makes us more visible. And if you are serious about your reinvention, please mosey on over to CoveyClub.com. Get on our newsletter. It's free. You can download guides and essays and help and checklists, whatever you need to get your reinvention started. And then if you want to, come join us. We have classes all about how to reinvent yourself. We have 30-day challenges. We have pods where you work together individually with 5 to 7 women on whatever your project is that you want. People start businesses. They get things going. They open their websites with us. We also have the CoveyClub Marketplace, which you can see, where we circulate your business and your service, whatever it is, throughout the CoveyClub world and help you get your clients and help you get more visibility, because we know sometimes when you're starting out, that's very hard to do. So I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you'll come join CoveyClub, and I hope that you'll follow the podcast, and I hope that we were helpful. Take care and have a great day.